and they were met through monetization of the fiscal deficit. And what this did was obviously huge fiscal deficit and, of course, current account deficit. And when we wanted to actually go and fund some of these by just selling some of our assets, we were facing the international financial crisis. International markets were closed. So, in 2008, we were left with almost a meltdown with consumer price index. Inflation was at 25.3%. By August, food inflation was at 33%. Fiscal deficit was at 7.6%. Current account deficit around 8.5%. Our reserves were depleting, and we had come down from $16.5 billion worth of reserves by November to almost $6.6 billion, of which the central bank had only $3.5 billion. And in October, our import bill was $3.5 billion, so which means only 1 month of imports. Exchange rate was sliding badly and actually was moving more towards 100. We had put in a floor under the stock exchange, so there was no activity on the stock market. Rating agencies were, were really trashing us like nobody's business, and I think we lost 6 levels within a period of 3 to 4 months. This was a crisis. Now, I'll go through, what we did and frankly, what the results are. But, why did this crisis happen, Clearly, one of the, topics over here is the crisis of governance. I think if you look at, our history, we clearly are basically wanting in building our institutions. We create institutions, but then just do not, build them up in a way, and we do not follow whatever we actually lay down as rules. So there has been institutional decay, ever since, I would say, the 60s. If I look at the executive, both the political, where we have been seeing, a variation of, political, democratic dispensations, and military taking over, and administration, which has been neglected over the last 4 or 5 decades. Today, the government is no longer employer of choice. Don't you think that's a governance fail? It is definitely a governance fail. We have been expanding employment in the administration and not looking at quality. So hence the executive today is in a complete disarray. And that institution has to be worked on. When you look at the parliament, well, that's great, we just all say that we are, of course, a democracy and parliament is supreme. How supreme is the parliament? Clearly, they just can pass rules and regulations. But, if I only look at the budget and the process of the budget and the financial management, how many times do I go to the parliament to seek their permission to do anything? Probably only once a year. At the budget, time of budget. All other supplementaries and everything else which we do, we pile them up, and the budget comes in a matter of, 3 weeks, we push everything through, and then bye-bye parliament. Now, is this good governance? Look around and look at those countries which basically are, good democracies. They actually are as far as interaction in parliament on a daily basis. So I think this government, on the floor of the parliament, we said no. Every quarter we'll come to the parliament, give, a kind of, lay down our performance, have a discussion. Every quarter, if there is a change in our budget, as I said, supplementaries, they will have to be approved by the parliament. We also said we'll involve even the Parliament in the budgeting process, well ahead of the budget, and we will have much longer period for the budget to debate the budget. This is a start. This is clearly a small step forward. We have to do much more. And I think if you look at, when we appoint some of these important personalities, State Bank Pakistan governors, Chairman SECP, and many more, the tenure posts, the regulators, do we seek the endorsement of the Parliament? No, we don't. I think this is what you call, a kind of governance issues, and we got to just move on. Of course, judiciary, and I'm not going to comment on judiciary because I think lately judiciary has obviously reasserted itself, and frankly, that's good for all of us. Because as Churchill said, if my courts are working, I have nothing to worry about. So I guess the common man, the difference between a common man and somebody with resources, they can only get equalized if the courts are working. And my own sense is that that's very, very good that, we are in the right direction. But until recently, there much to be desired over there. Even this institution had been affected by, our shenanigans. Accountability, we always have this new kind of, kind of departments, new concepts about accountability. But how much accountability is there on an ongoing basis? There is one department which is there in the Constitution, has been there, the Auditor General of Pakistan, and obviously the paraphernalia around them.